It's week 8 here at Garden Grown Groceries, and that means it's time to get the sweet potatoes into the ground. Mid-February might seem a little early to be putting your sweet potatoes into the ground, particularly up here in the Northeast, but I'm actually not planting them outside just yet. I'm just starting them to grow some slips, and I actually wanted to start this last week, but things got in the way. So I'm going to start them today, and hopefully we'll get some slips growing real quick and be able to pot them up into cups before we eventually plant them outdoors in May sometime. Last year, when I started my slips, I think I started a little bit later, and maybe March, I think I did it, if not even later than that. And it took a while for the slips to get going and then to grow. Now, we finally did get, the slips grew fine, and I was able to put in, vines into the ground. But I want to make sure I got some nice, healthy plants with some nice, healthy roots, and starting them early enough to get them started means I'm going to be starting them in mid-February. Like I said, I wanted to do this last week, but things got in the way, so today's the day, and let's get some sweet potatoes into the soil. So what I'm doing is I'm just using a dollar store shoebox and some reclaimed garden soil, and I'm going to be using some sweet potatoes that I had left over from last year's crop. This is one of them, and as you can see, it's actually started sprouting already. So I figured that would be a good one to use. And all I'm going to do is just be pushing it down into the soil, not even covering it up. I took this one only because it was a little bit fatter. Figured maybe it'll produce something. And that one's going into the soil as well. You could bury them, I guess, but I don't think it's necessary. Another one that just started sprouting. So put that one into the ground. Might be seeing a theme here. These are sweet potatoes that started to sprout, so I saved them just for this purpose. And I got a little tiny potato. Also, this one actually has a couple of sprouts on it. So my hope here is that by starting with some sweet potatoes that have already sprouted, I'll be ahead of the game here. I'm just going to lightly water these because the soil is kind of moist, but very little water. I got a little bit more in here. And then I'm going to be bringing these indoors and putting it on a heat mat in my grow room, and that should give them a good spark to get started. But really, that's all you need to do to grow some slips. And since I'm starting with sweet potatoes that have already sprouted, I should be ahead of the game. I'll probably be cursing myself for starting so early this year. So I'm just putting the sweet potatoes underneath grow lights on this heat mat right next to my stevia. Nothing's happening yet with the stevia. It's only been, I don't know, a week plus with that. So it can take upwards of 3 weeks or more to get them growing. So I'm not concerned just yet, but we'll keep an eye on them. I put the stevia in the plastic bag, and as you can see, creates a lot of condensation, and it a little greenhouse in there. And so long as that plastic bag has that condensation on the inside, I don't have to worry about watering the seeds. It's staying moist in there. But if I see that condensation disappear, I'll make sure I water it. But the sweet potatoes are going to sit here. They do have the little shoots coming up, so that's why they are under lights. Also, they're on a heat mat to keep them warm, and that should help them kick off pretty quick. Now, last year I did a test. I did the sweet potato in a glass with the toothpicks and letting the roots grow and the sprout and the slips grow off of that. And also in a container like this where I let them go. The ones in the container took off much faster. I mean, we did get some good slips off of the ones in the glass, but it took them a long time to grow. So this was a little bit faster, but it was still a long time before they started growing. So I'm hoping by starting earlier, plus using potatoes from last year's harvest that have started to sprout this year, that I'll be ahead of the game. Now, my hope is that by using my sweet potatoes from last year's crop, the potatoes will start acclimating themselves to this climate. What I did last year was I had used a couple of potatoes that I had bought at Whole Foods. Figured organic potatoes. I grew them. And I think I actually picked up a bag of potatoes. Yeah, I had a bag of potatoes and also some loose ones. One was a named one. I think it was Covington. I'm not certain. I don't remember. I think the bag of them didn't even have a name on them. I'm not sure what these are, but they are from those potatoes last year. So it's either the Covington or the no-name ones. But regardless, they'll be the garden-grown groceries ones from going forward now. Because each year that I grow some sweet potatoes, I'll put some aside just to start my slips. And then once the slips are ready to be planted, we'll be planting them in that raised bed. The first year, I got no sweet potatoes whatsoever. Had terrific vines on them, but absolutely zero sweet potatoes. And I just think that the soil was too rich. It was a new bed. I'd put a lot of materials into the ground, like there was grass clippings, there was leaves, there was wood chips on the bottom, there was logs in the bottom. I put all kinds of organic material in there, and I think it just might have been too much for the sweet potatoes. So they absorbed all that nutrient and grew lots of terrific vines, but no sweet potatoes. Last year, the same soil, I didn't amend it at all. I just planted my slips into the ground, and we had terrific vines again. Got sweet potatoes. Wasn't the kind of crop I was looking for, but we did get some sweet potatoes, and we're actually still eating them. So we got more sweet potatoes than I thought I ended up getting out of it. But I'm hoping this year, once again, same soil in there. I did move my the garden bed, because previously I had a tree there that I ended up cutting down. So I ended up moving the bed back so it would get more sun. And I ended up having to take all the dirt out of the bed, moving the bed over, and then refilling it again. Soil hasn't been amended. I might put some bone meal and some phosphorus into the soil just to give it the root and fruit growth, and not the green, not the nitrogen for the greens. So hopefully that'll deliver some good sized tubers this year. So this is just a quick project. I'm gonna be starting my potatoes this week as well. My regular potatoes. All I'm doing is pre-sprouting my potatoes. I call it quick chitting, and that's just putting them into some moist peat moss and letting them grow some roots and some shoots before I put them into solo cups to grow the plant itself. But that'll be later this week. That actually I wanted to do 2 weeks ago. I wanted to do it at the end of January, get them started. It's just been very busy. So if you want to see what we were doing in the garden last week, check out this video right here, and then subscribe and hit that notification bell. And that way you'll be able to follow along on the progress on all of our vegetables as we try to grow a supermarket in our own backyard. Okay, thanks for watching.